Welcome back to the latest episode of the CGA Tour podcast. As always, here I'm your host, Calvin Glen Alexander, and Trey, Florence, my co-host and I, are joined by a very special guest, Reagan Harris, for the owner of Pokes Insight and at OK State Mart on Twitter, X, whatever we're calling it these days. I always say that, but I guess everyone knows what I'm talking about at this point. We're going to go over the best hires of the Chad Weiberg era so far, portal grading. Haven't had Reagan on here since the portal's been closed to go through all of the college football portal grades. And then Steve Lutz and how he's doing in year two, as well as fixes in Stillwater for possibly some OSU ideas of how we can fix everything going on in Stillwater, and then some spring sports information. And lastly, I've got a trivia question.
The CGA Tour, a podcast unlike any other. Now your host, Calvin Alexander.
Hey Cowboy fans, today's episode is brought to you by Oakley Burklow, your go-to independent insurance agent and proud OSU alum. Oakley helps with home, auto, life, and business insurance, working with multiple top-rated insurance companies to find you the right coverage at the right price. Licensed in Oklahoma and Arkansas. Call 918-280-9068 or email oakley.burklow@connectmyinsurance.com. Personal service, honest advice, and a fellow Poke helping you protect what matters most. How's it going? Thanks so much for rejoining the podcast here.
Thanks. That's my little brother walked in. Don't want him on camera, exposed. He didn't know we were going live, but we're good. We're good
for sure. I know the feeling. I've got younger brothers and of course, wife, whole deal. And I'm like, hey, we're recording the podcast, so got to get the whole setup ready. But thanks so much for rejoining here. I know Trey and I are thrilled to have you on. The last podcast we had you on was one of the best and most viewed podcasts I've ever had. So I know the people are curious for your insights and information, and definitely well viewed. So more than happy to have you back on here, of course.
None at all.
Yeah, no pressure at all. Yeah, definitely one that's tuned in for more, it seems. But I really started out here wanting to ask the last questions when I was like writing up and looking over your outlines of the previous podcast we did. It was, do you think Drew Messmaker's coming to Oklahoma State? I mean, that's the last one we did. Was like, we got Eric Morris, but we're still thinking maybe Messmaker, maybe not, etc. So now the portal's closed. Of course, it's been several months later. What are your thoughts here? What would you think about kind of grading the whole portal edition for Eric Morris?
Should I go first, Trey, or do you want to take the reins here?
Oh, you are the lovely guest, so you can go ahead.
So you want me to grade the transfer portal editions? That's what you want me to do? It like positionally, or how do you want me to do this? Because there's different answers for each.
Just kind of like overall. Like,
well, I think overall it has to be.
I'm not trying.
It has to be an A+, right? Overall, it has to be an A+, because there's really, you couldn't have wanted anything more than what we got. The only team that beat us in the portal in the Big 12 objectively was Texas Tech. And even then I would disagree. I think that a lot of our guys were undervalued intentionally, as they do on these sites. If you follow me, you know how I feel about them. But I think that it was the best recruiting performance I have ever seen from anything in Oklahoma State athletics outside of that 1 year Boynton went crazy in the portal and picked up those 2 5-stars. Didn't pan out, but truly an impressive display from Eric Morris, both offensively and defensively. I think deserve an A+ for me.
Definitely. I definitely feel at least A+ on offense. I'm going to give it an A on defense. It could be better, obviously, but it was still pretty good. Like, I'm just shocked of just like overall the amount and everybody that we got, the amount and quality. So that was really nice to see, especially, the past 2 years. It's been, have we gotten anything? And so that now it's like, we definitely have something, and we can work with the groups that we have this year. So I'm super excited to see what's going to happen.
Yeah, I think defensively we went with a lot of risks, which is going to be interesting to see what happens. Brought in a lot of size on the front seven, and then he looks like he went with a lot of speed for the safety and secondary, which is a very good formula for the Big 12, I think, which is why I gave it an A+, because you put all your money on the guys you knew you had to get. You brought them in, and then you said, okay, hey, we know our offense is going to be our thing anyway. So let's go out and get our offense. And now you're already seeing in the recruiting what he's doing there. And he's offering a ridiculous amount of 4 stars and 5 stars like we've never seen before on defense. So we'll see how that pans out. But I'm totally fine with the offensive focus of the class. I think that the defense we brought in was pretty good. And we also brought back more players on the defense than we did the offense in terms of returning production. And there's some guys there to be excited about. So I think he did a great job.
What would you say as far as like the running back room kind of portal wise? I mean, of course, getting Caleb in is a major and massive addition to the team. But does it strike you at all a little bit odd that, I mean, an Oklahoma kid was just not recruited well and not scouted well out of Oklahoma to begin with, and he ended up at North Texas?
Well, like, this isn't the first time in Mike Gundy's tenure that he missed on a guy like that, but Caleb Hawkins was kind of under the radar to begin with, so you can't really blame him too much. He's from a small high school, and it's one of those things where it's like, okay, you missed on him. He probably would have ended up here anyway, if you want to be honest. If Eric Morris did not leave North Texas, Mike Gundy has a good season here. Portal comes in, he probably would have been our top target. I'm not sure we would have got him just because of the NIL funding, but in terms of why we didn't get him, well, just as a little bit of a note here, something that I was told once was when Casey Dunn was recruiting certain running back named Christian McCaffrey, he told him that he would never play a snap at Oklahoma State. So you really never know what was going on in recruiting at OSU when it came to those type of things. But you also got to say, look at our last 3 starting running backs under Gundy. Are you really mad? I mean, we had Ollie Gordon, Chuba Hubbard, list goes on, Justice Hill. So it's really not that big of a deal. But he's here now, and that's what's to be excited about, right?
Yeah.
We got to develop for a year under one of the best offensive staffs in the country, so it's a win-win.
Oh yeah, for sure. You nailed it right on the head. So it's just kind of continuing our legacy, at least on running backs. That's for sure. It's just exciting. Now, if only we would just stop doing the fake draw, draw right up the middle, that would be great. As long as we change that up, I think we'll be fine, because that's usually what we typically do, like about 20% of the time. So.
Well, it'll work now because we're actually going to be passing the ball more than 5 yards down the field.
True, so and we may have an offensive line, offensive line too.
Yes, draws aren't bad if the defense is actually scared of you throwing the ball, which they weren't. So it doesn't really matter. But I'm excited to see what Eric Morris does with just the most absurd offensive portal class. But yeah, it's going to be fun.
Well, how different do you think the offense will be? Or maybe a better question is, what kind of previous like Gundy situation do you think this offense will resemble the most? It's a really tough question, I know, just because this may not resemble any situation, but seeing Alan Bowman and then kind of the Hosseini, Zane Flores, and Sam Jackson or whatever last year leaves a lot to be desired, of course. And I think everyone's super excited, but what offense do you think this would be most similar to, or maybe what kind of quarterback Drew Messmaker resembles most of like a previous Oklahoma State quarterback that you've seen? I mean, the comparison game's tough. I get it. Like Drew Messmaker's really just a unique guy, but if you're comparing, it's like, hey, I think they'll resemble kind of more of this, or is it completely just uncomparable? I mean, Eric Morris's offense is just that much more different than anything we've seen previously.
Trey, you can go first on this one.
I'm going to say I could see a combination of like the Whedon and Zach Rudolph offense being combined in a way where we have those threats. And then we also are allowed to actually run the ball too. So I could see us. Drew's got a good arm. I don't think he's got like the knowledge and history like Whedon did, but Whedon had an arm. So I think we're going to be doing a lot of verticals. That's probably for sure, because we got really good wide receivers. And then of course going to be pounding the ball. Maybe I'll accept the draws this time around, but I feel like it's going to be a combination, something similar to what we've seen with those. But he's also got different talents too. So it's just like, it's hard to say it's going to be exactly like what we've seen in the past with like Rudolph or Whedon.
Yeah, I don't think Oklahoma State fans are going to like my answer, but I think that if you take some time to listen, you'll understand. I think actually it's going to most resemble the Shane Illingworth year.
Okay.
And my reasoning is because of how young the team is. And I think from a quarterback talent level, you'll see a lot of plays like what Shane did, quite a bit of down the field, pretty capable for the most part to get out of the pocket, but needs that to learn that presence. And that's kind of the problem that Shane Illingworth had. He had pretty poor pocket presence. I'd like to see that development from Drew Messamaker, because from what I watched with him in North Texas, that's the area of improvement needed. And then also you have a killer young running back room. And I think that if you look at it closely, you start to realize, actually is pretty similar. We're not going to have a super strong defense. We've got a new exciting offense really coming in, because that year was kind of a newer offensive scheme than we had seen before. So here's the big thing. We don't have OU and we don't have Texas.
Right.
And so a 7-6 season like that, which was a very good Big 12 year, mind you, is going to be different this year, where this team could potentially win 8 or 9 games. But what's exciting is, I've always said, imagine if we got Shane Illingworth for one more year, that next season, with how good that wide receiver core was. That's what we're going to get with Drew Messamaker, and that's what's so exciting, because this next season is going to be fun. But the year after that, well, you're looking at 2011, 2012 offense sort of thing. So, but like you said with Whedon, he needs that development, and if he can get that, then sure, we might be able to see those type of years. But I think at first you're going to feel a lot of similarities with the type of skill players that we have to the Shane Illingworth year, maybe with a better defense, because that defense, you're going to get worse than that. But we'll see.
Well, and Reagan, what do you think about the wide receiver room as a whole? I mean, Miles Coleman, Wyatt Young, keep going down the list. I mean, there are some additional guys, of course, that are not just UNT guys. I try to remind everyone we got a bunch of transfers in, but only 17 of them were North Texas guys as well. So Miles Coleman being 5'6", kind of more slot guy, Wyatt Young being a bigger kind of, you'd figure on the perimeter guy, getting some more jump balls. What do you think about the wide receiver room on the whole?
I think we have this is going to be the hot take of the podcast, but I think we'll come in with the best wide receiver core in the Big 12. And I don't think it's going to be that close. And everyone's talking about Wyatt Young and Miles Coleman, because obviously they're the guys they watch. We brought in Justin Bowick, who is like a borderline 5-star type of guy for what he does in the slot and on the outside. His red zone capability is absurd. He's not really comparable to anyone we've ever had. We've had a couple red zone guys, like, don't get me wrong. But this is the type of dude where on Sunday, like in college, you're not really going to hear about him much. But then in the NFL, it's going to be like Justin Bowick all the time, because I think he's a Sunday guy. And then the other one is Chris Barnes. I cannot tell you how excited I am about Chris Barnes. I was talking about the Shane Illingworth stuff. Just think about Tyreek Hill, a little bit less skillful, but that's the type of speed and utilization you're going to have with him. You're going to see him in every single part of the field, return game, sweeps, in the backfield, bubble screens, all of it. He's going to be all over the place, and he's going to be such a fun utility player. And then obviously you've got Wyatt Young, which I have no idea how he's going to translate. Obviously we hope for the best.
Right.
And Miles Coleman, pretty much you might as well have just put Brennan Presley back in the lineup, because that's who he is. So it's going to be really fun to watch. This wide receiver core is ridiculous. And the fact that this is our first year with Eric Morris and this is what we're bringing in, I mean, seriously exciting. So, that's my thought. I mean, if you wanted to give it a grade, it's an S+. So above an A. Best wide receiver portal in the country. Everyone can say all they want about the Auburn guy. I think that we got better than that. So I'm excited.
Yeah, that's just one guy versus the whole team.
Coleman.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Better than Coleman. That's impressive. All right. Well, I have a question for both of you guys here. Trey, I'll ask you first. Since Chad Weiberg's come as the AAD, who do you think the best hire he's had has been so far? I hesitate to say Eric Morris, because we haven't seen the ball be kicked off yet.
Right.
But of course, he's had great offseason so far. So, who do you think the best hire is?
The potential right now is Eric, because he's just been dominating whatsoever. So, I mean, once again, it's going to be like, a grain of salt until we actually see it, because, we could just have the worst season ever. But
so
I'm not
saying that. We just had that. Not possible.
I know. But honestly, I think, did he pick up the wrestling coach with David Taylor? I think he did,
yes,
right?
He did.
Yeah. So I feel like you got us back into the, whole wrestling saga of all these great wrestling coaches. So that's who I think that is actually, put on pen and paper right now. He's basically the best one so far. Because other than that, he hasn't has he hired that? I mean, he's got the basketball coach, which that one I'm not so thrilled about. But David Taylor definitely has been bringing the life back to Gallagher-Iba.
Yeah. So
surely you're not talking about J.C. Hoyt though, Trey.
I'm pretty sure the list of moves that he's made in terms of like hires and contracts, he extended Mike Boynton, he extended Mike Gundy.
Yep.
Those were 2 terrible decisions. And then he I think he also extended Josh Holiday. Then we have David Taylor, J.C. Hoyt, Eric Morris. Didn't he hire Gajewski, or am I mistaken? Kenny G from softball?
Think so. It may have just been the timing of it.
I don't think he hired Gajewski. I think that was
let's
Phil Holder. Yeah.
When was he hired is the question. Because I don't remember. Because our softball got relevant, how many years ago? 5 years ago or so? We got back on the map. Regardless, I think the obvious answer is David Taylor, right? Mm-hmm. Obviously, because now Oklahoma State is a couple of years away from being with Penn State, which is no one even thought was possible with what they were doing. So that's exciting. I don't know enough about wrestling, though, to talk about David Taylor. I already got my belt whipping the other day from talking about it. Never in my life have I hired someone to talk about wrestling instead of me, but I did because of how bad it was. But I think outside of David Taylor, a lot of people are like iffy right now, but I think J.C. Hoyt was a great hire. What she's doing with the women's basketball scene with pretty limited resources is extremely impressive. She doesn't get enough support. I mean, 23-8, say what you will about some of the losses this year, but she's about to make yet another NCAA tournament. And
a 4 seed right now in the Big 12.
Yeah, and people are complaining. Meanwhile, our men's basketball team would do literally anything to make the men's tournament. I mean, heck, there's been reports of $20 million in NIL investments, how bad we want it. And I'm like, I'm good. Let's wait till we know we got the coach. But in terms of best hire, I think it would be David Taylor, J.C. Hoyt right there. Can't say Eric Morris just because we don't know yet. Obviously, right now it looks fantastic. And if you're not using hindsight, Eric Morris was a 10 out of 10 hire.
Oh, yeah.
Regardless, like just optics wise. And if it's wrong, oh, well, I think it was still the right move at the time, and people will complain down the line. But I'll always say, man, Eric Morris was the right hire at the right time. May not have worked out, but that's the way I look at it.
Definitely brought us excited about OU football again, because it's been 2 years where it's been rough, but right. I just wouldn't dream of talking about portal with OSU with Gundy, and so now this year I'm actually talking about it. Just crazy.
Yeah, I don't think there's any way the Eric Morris hire goes badly, especially if it goes badly any bit early. I mean, we're going to be able to be a good program for some years just because we have all this talent coming in the door. And we have a guy who has clearly proven himself as a halfway decent coach for years, if not a great coach year over year in each program he's been at. I do think it's funny that we've got guys with so many incarnate word ties, and just kind of that area of Texas. Like Steve Lutz was at Corpus Christi, and you've got, of course, Morris was down at Incarnate Word. So it's kind of interesting there. I'm hesitant to say anything too much on the Steve Lutz hire just yet, because we know how basketball is just so fickle. In the day, I mean, if the whole Mike Boynton saga, like if Boynton ends up getting Cade Cunningham and Bryce Thompson and Moussa Cisse all in the same year, that was rumored because the NCAA allegations don't hang over his head for 5 years, would be great, but also it'd be great if we could score. I mean, there's just so many what ifs in that situation. We just should have been better on offense year over year. You'd figure with Cade Cunningham, we'd do better than what we did. Mm-hmm. But nonetheless, I think the really, I guess, hipster take would be J.C. Hoyt. And I don't know if it's necessarily hipster just because David Taylor's done so great for wrestling. That seems the obvious answer. But as you guys both already mentioned, Hoyt has done an incredible job with the women's program coming in after, the loss of the 4, and really bringing the program back to new heights is just incredible overall. I'm curious what you guys think as far as Steve Lutz goes down in year this year. We've one more game, got 3 more games here this season against Houston to end out on senior night. We've got game tomorrow, etc. But What are your expectations for year 3 of Steve Lutz? What are fair expectations to bringing in the best kid in Oklahoma, another 4-star in Latrell Almond, of course, Jalen Montgomery is the best kid in Oklahoma.
See, my thing is, I just hope that he doesn't.
You would think.
I'm just hoping that it doesn't balloon his ego, or I don't know if that's the right word to say, because we started this year off like we were having like the winningest that it's been since like what was it 2015, 2016 or something like that before we lost to OU. Like we were winning 11 in a row or 10 in a row or whatever. So, it just you and me, Calvin, we kind of built up our expectations a little bit too high. I feel like. I would like us, because right now we're still like we improved, yes, a little bit. I would at least want to be at least 8-8 in the conference this time. Maybe be, let's see, what is that, 9-9? So maybe 99 next year potentially. Who knows? But that's what I would love to see. But that's my opinion.
Well, Steve Lutz and I have a complicated relationship. When he was hired, I thrashed the hire. I said it was terrible. It was rushed. No point in firing Mike Boynton because I felt like we just hired someone that was going to do something similar.
Right.
Good recruiter, terrible at one end of the ball, statistically, which is ironic because it's literally flipped since he got here, which is kind of annoying. But now, I was halfway through the season. I was like, okay, I'm wrong. And I was admitted to it. I was like, I'm wrong about Steve Lutz. He looks pretty good. And then it just felt like it just was doing this the rest of the year. Like everything was doing this. The team wasn't passing as much. The rotations were worse. The game time decisions were worse. They started chucking up shots. The team chemistry was off.
Definitely
and you're like, okay, because that resembled to me some Mike Boynton years where there were extremely high highs, and you're thinking, look at the potential of this team. And then things would just crash at some point in the year, whether it's the beginning of the year, end of the year, middle of the year. There was a time where it happened, and for this season, it's the end of the year, just a total collapse. Can't even be within 20 points of Cincinnati. And you're like, okay, we're about to bring in all these guys and spend all this NIL money. What happens if it doesn't work? Because I don't think it will, personally. What happens if it doesn't work? We miss another tournament, or God forbid, we get knocked out in the first round or whatever. Then we're back to square one with a bunch of freshmen that we're spending $3 million a year for each, and a head coach that we don't believe in. And Chad Weidberg has to make another decision on whether or not to keep a contract or pay another buyout, while our football program should be getting all the investment. So for me, my opinion on it is not great. I don't feel good about Steve Lutz overall. I don't feel confident about next year. So my expectations with the number one player in Oklahoma, probably going to have at least 1 to 2, maybe 3 5-stars on the roster next season based on the NIL. You have to make the second day of the tournament. No choice. You have to make round of 32. And if you don't, if you go and make the 10 seed and get bounced by Michigan or whatever again, I don't want any part of it. Like, I just don't. I don't want to sit here and watch our basketball program continue to be in limbo for the next 10 years like it has been for the last 20, outside of the one Brad Underwood year, which we all look back on and hate now. But at the time, it was fun. So it's like, I don't know. For me, I just don't like the idea of sitting around and continuing to waste resources while we have a program that's ready to just go all in and has the potential to be all in and has the motivation where realistically we're lucky to fill GIA at 50%, even on a good game. Our hockey team is drawing better crowds against OU. It's not good.
I love it.
Not good.
Another hockey person. Let's go.
Genuinely. This is my honest. I would rather us make hockey a D1 team than watch another season of this. I really would. I just can't. I can't handle it anymore. It's the same thing year over year, and I'm a huge basketball guy. I run an entire NBA news site. I love basketball. I cannot stand a state of this program. It makes me want to vomit. But it is what it is at the end of the day. You got to keep Steve Lutz for another year. You don't have a choice. Expectations are round of 32 or bust.
Yep, I agree.
That's the end of my rant. Sorry.
It's a great rant. I'm with you on the hockey. I've been like, yes, let's go hockey. We just blew out OU. Let's go. BOK Center was pretty packed. Let's go.
Well, but I do want to ask, and Reagan, I think you know more about the NIL stuff than I do. What are fair expectations from a Big 12 program right now in regards to basketball and football? We're seeing Texas Tech pull it off. They're able to make, really great strides. They're able to have a lot of the money and resources, all that type of stuff, capital, etc. But Baylor, wins a national championship not too long ago, and their football program seems to have not improved, since then. And they seem to be on the kind of the ropes there. And Houston, same type of deal. Their basketball program's insanely good, but football, much to be desired. I can keep going here with examples here and there. Texas Tech's one that we use the other way. But what do you think are fair expectations when it comes to NIL putting together a really, really good basketball and football program, along with a really, really great wrestling program?
Well, what do you mean by expectations? Do you mean are you asking me about balancing the two things, or what specifically do you mean?
I would say probably balancing.
Yeah. So can we contend in the Big 12 in basketball, be a top 4 team in the Big 12 in basketball year in, year out, be a top 6 team? Let's say, if I'm thinking second day of the tournament, thinking we're top 6 in the Big 12 in basketball. And then if we're top, way Eric Morris has got me talking and thinking I'm going Big 12 championship this year, possibly, right? So with this type of portal class and everything as well, the expectations seem to be at least where, hey, we're talking about an 8+ win team this year in football. Are those fair expectations for a Big 12 program?
Well, yeah, I think pretty much can be argued that it is. Texas Tech is the number 16 team in the country right now in basketball, and then they were the number 4 team in the country in football, which was disrespectful, but we won't get into that. And then on the other flip side, look at BYU. They're doing the same thing. Arizona was very good in football last year. Houston just had one of the best portal classes in the country. So the Big 12 is figuring it out. And when it comes to basketball and football, those are 2 different donor groups. A lot of people think they're merged, which in some cases they are. But Boone Pickens wasn't pouring a bunch of money into basketball. He was pouring a bunch of money into football. You have people that care about different things. And when you have investors that love football, those are the guys you go after versus the guys that love basketball. Because trust me, there's a group of people, all they care about at Oklahoma State, and they're huge donors, is wrestling, baseball, and basketball. It's all they care about. They don't care about football. And that seems shocking to us because we're big football guys, right? Mm-hmm. But that exists. And in terms of being a competitive basketball program, it's just about giving the motivation to the donors to care. Because realistically, right now, it's okay, they just invested a bunch, and that's why we got the number 1 player in Oklahoma, because the season looks so good. Right. And now it's take a step back. And that's why you've seen recruiting not be where it was at the beginning of the year, because it's concerning. So it's there when it can be there. You just got to make the right hire that motivates the donors. And Texas Tech just happens to have 2 of the best motivatable coaches in basketball and football, and the donors are all in on it. And for good reason. I mean, why not? Oklahoma State has the same potential, maybe not to the quite extent of Texas Tech. I think that Texas Tech realistically has the type of money to contend with anybody in football. But in terms of being competitive in multiple sports, yeah, 100%. And the thing about wrestling specifically is that is really an isolated donor group.
Oh, yeah, for sure. By the
way. Wrestling fans and Wrestling Oklahoma State has its own world. They do not – most of them don't care about any of the other sports. Some of them do, but to very little extent. And the thing about wrestling fans that I've learned as I've started this site and everything was that they're very specific. They love wrestling. It's the best thing on the planet to them, and that's just how they feel. So in terms of having a good wrestling program, a good basketball program, a good football program, basketball and football kind of work together a little bit, but everything else is really its separate own thing, especially baseball and wrestling. And baseball is whatever right now. But in terms of being good at basketball and football, I think the expectation should be for Oklahoma State with the type of donors we have and the type of money we're capable of having, because there's this perception that Oklahoma State is a second-rate funding university. We're not quite at the top, we're weirdly in the middle amongst the packs of the Arizonas of the world or the Kansases or something, and that's just not even close to the case. Oklahoma State is right there, and we poured in $330 million 2 decades ago into the football program, plus another $150 million here and 200. We have the donors, Boone Pickens or not, to make things happen. So in terms of expectations, I think they can still be high. It seems hard in the NIL era, but I promise you, if Oklahoma State makes the right hires and the right moves, the money is there in whatever sport they want it to be there. And Chad knows this. Trust me, he knows this. He's had conversations. You have conversation with him about Mike Gundy and NIL. He can't stand it. So the money's there.
Do you think if we were to just specialize in one sport, it would have been easier for us? But since we're being 3 different sports at least, if not more, do you think that just hampers, just the overall quality for us?
Maybe a little bit, for sure. Maybe you can't say it doesn't, right? You can't say it doesn't when your hands are in multiple cookie jars.
Mm-hmm.
But again, wrestling is an isolated entity, so I don't really count that necessarily. Basketball and football are less so. Those are the two where it's like, okay, if we're trying to be elite at both, that can be very difficult. And you've seen that for every university except the absolute giants like Michigan,
right,
where it is very hard to have an elite basketball program and an elite football program. No Oklahoma State fan is asking to be national championship contenders in basketball. That's not what you want. You just want to be a tournament like every other year or something.
I remember the Final Four. I want that championship. Come on now.
Pre-NIL.
Yeah, true.
But genuinely speaking, the expectation for Oklahoma State basketball is not at the same level as football, whereas in football, if the investment's right, Oklahoma State can be exactly where Texas Tech is, no problem. They just got to get – the coach has to be right, which I think it is, and the money has to be there, which it is. So we'll see what happens with that long term. But if you remember, it took Texas Tech about 2 to 3 years to get there, so we'll see what happens. But, yeah, I do think that there is a small percentage of that does impact it, especially when you are really good at a lot of sports.
Yeah.
Golf, baseball, wrestling, basketball you used to be. Football, well, equestrian, yeah. Softball, by the way, which a lot of Oklahoma State fans really love now.
Mm-hmm.
So, and Oklahoma as a state loves. So there's a lot of, 7 to 10 sports Oklahoma State is considered top 25 in the country. Yeah, it can affect it, but I think when you look at football and basketball, they're a group. Everything else kind of has its separate thing going on.
All right, we'll ask either of you, but maybe I'll ask Trey here first so Reagan could grab a sip of water because I think that was a pretty in-depth question I just gave him.
You're welcome for the in-depth analysis.
No, thank you. But what's one unpopular opinion about Oklahoma State sports that fans don't want to hear but probably need to?
Oh, that's a good one. Unpopular opinion. There's 2 I have. 1, go support the tennis team. They're actually really good, and it's
there's
really
another
great.
Sport. Tennis. Forgot about that.
They are great, and the facility there is phenomenal. I'm just a little biased because I used to work the tennis group all the time, and we would never have anybody unless we did a pizza night, and that was the only time that we would ever get anybody out there. And of course, the coaches always did a pizza night every night. But literally, go see the tennis group. They're amazing. You may not know what's going on at first, but it's basic tennis stuff, but we do doubles first, then singles. It's weird. But anyways, that's my first hot take. The second hot take is, man, I don't know what we need to do for just getting the students back and more filling up Gallagher-Iba in general, both men's and women's basketball teams. They could be a lot better, especially the men's. But, we show up for, Iowa's wrestling match. So it's just we need some type of promotion or something to help everybody get out there. I know it's hard if the game's on a Tuesday night at 8:00. So that's the only downside. But maybe we shouldn't try to be on TV. Maybe. I don't know. That's my hot take.
I don't know about that. I think a lot of our game time sucked this year, to be honest.
Yes.
In all fairness, the Iowa State game at 1:00, and then it was moved to noon or something, or it was at 3 and then moved to noon because the big huge snow issue and ice going on. But then a lot of the other things, BYU fans packed out GIA comparatively to other away fans for that 8:00 game. That was an 8:00 tip off, and there were several families of BYU fans, I assume not living in Stillwater, just because it'd be very odd for me to think there's a huge BYU contingent living in Stillwater, but driving in from Tulsa, Oklahoma City, wherever it may be, coming to those games. And I do think a little bit of it is the chicken and the egg situation too. If the team is 11-0, 12-0, okay, fans are showing up. Like attendance was increasing, game by game back when we were undefeated in GIA. Now it was against probably no one, as we know, it was really against Bethune-Cookman and others. But if you can keep that cycle of winning, you can keep knocking off teams. I think the Boynton teams that were able to beat Kansas, back-to-back games, when we swept OU and KU in the same season, GIA was full. And that was my last year at OSU in 2017-2018 season. So I think if you can kind of keep doing some of those things, and also it's just got to be a lot better whenever you're not losing to Cincinnati by 20. I know we lost parts of fall, so I'm not going to really harp on that game. But when you lose to KU the way you did, when you lose to KU the way you at home, man, that's just a really, really tough look. Because KU is the team that we always circle because Bill Self went to Oklahoma State, and sometimes we have their number where we can beat him, etc. So that'd be my thing. Is like we've got to be able to we've got to be able to do a little bit more and a little bit better here than just the attendance as it is. I mean, the students got to show up a little bit more, but also the games have to be just a little bit better timing wise. We've got to get a little more students out there. I do want to show, we've got some comments here. Please drop them below. All the BYU ref stuff was just absolutely appalling, depending on what you hear, what you see, and what you know. I'm not going to try to bring all that back up, but
man, that was a good one.
Wildman, I think you got a point. Got a point for sure.
God bless.
So Reagan, what are your like two hot takes? What are two things you'd say that like OSU fans, unpopular opinion or one unpopular opinion that OSU fans don't want to hear but need to?
I have two. Okay, two. One, I know this one always never gets good reception.
Traded too. So I was.
The first, if I can think of a second one, I will. But the first one, I never get good reception on this because it's just it's hard truth. It's not fun truth. It's hard truth. Oklahoma State baseball is not an Omaha contender anymore. We're just not. We're an average baseball program that has a nice stadium and pretty uniforms. We don't have it. Our coaching isn't there. The investment isn't what it used to be. And the realistic reality is a team in the top 10 to 20 range year over year in recruiting isn't an Omaha contender. You're an average Big 12 contender, and you're lucky to be in the Big 12 because otherwise you'd be in the SEC not doing anything. And that's just the reality of the state of the baseball program. People don't like it, but it's true. Stop every single year saying this team has potential to go to Omaha. No, they don't. They don't have potential to go to Omaha because the pitching is garbage or the batting is garbage. Pick your poison each year. It's never one or the other. You never get both. And the one year we do get both, we have a coaching staff that likes to make the rotations that make you want to pick your brain out. So baseball is not an Omaha contender until we get a new head coach. That's the first one. I guess they call them managers or whatever in baseball.
Yes.
That's my first one. That one's going to get – I hope that doesn't get clipped because that wouldn't be fun to be going around.
Oh, come on. You don't want that one clipped?
Oh, dude, I already get enough. Trust me, because I'm the type of person that's not afraid to say the things that people don't want to hear about Oklahoma State stuff. Hot take number 2 is Oklahoma State just fired their best coach in the history of football, and our history of football. Whether you like it or not, Mike Gundy was the best thing to ever to happen to any single one of our programs in athletics. Yep. Any of them. You can look across the board. You can say wrestling, obviously, is a close one. But I'm talking about taking a program from nothing to something. There is no comparison in sports outside of Curt Cignetti at Indiana, who did the thing that Mike Gundy couldn't do. He took the extra step that Mike Gundy never got to. But Gundy set the pathway for programs to happen like Oklahoma State did. There's no examples of it anywhere in sports except for Oklahoma State outside of either doing illegal stuff like SMU did, or having a giant injection of cash because of the NIL like Texas Tech. Mike Gundy did impossible things for Oklahoma State. Whether you like him or hate the way that everything went down, Mike Gundy loved Oklahoma State and gave everything he had, and it just didn't end well.
Oh, so for sure. And think about it. If it wasn't for how 1/100th of a 10th of a point that we didn't make it to the BCS championship,
he may have won a national championship.
May have, because
he may have done the Curt Cignetti thing.
We could at least get it past half the, past the 50-yard line at least. LSU couldn't do that.
No doubt.
And that was without the NIL stuff, of course. So I think you guys just said. My biggest hot take would be we are a football school, but I think we've already just said that. I don't know if that's actually a hot take anymore. I just think there has been a while that I've been going, well, we've had a number 1 overall pick this decade. We've had, number 6 overall pick in Marcus Smart. Like we've had all of these guys that if I'm trying to say we're a basketball school, you can always kind of back it up with some stats. The classic Twitter thing is, oh yeah, well, I can find some stat that'll make it where I'm right. But at the end of the day, I think I'm wrong, saying that we're a basketball school. And I really would love for us to see us get back to where Galgariba is full and where it is fully awakened and all type of stuff. But it is for wrestling. Like we've seen the fans, the students on a Sunday night when so many different Oklahoma State sororities and fraternities have their chapter meetings and all type of stuff. All of their schedules get moved. Everything gets moved so we can have a completely sold out GIA. Like when there's the big enough event, when there's the big enough anticipation and crowd and all type of stuff, things get moved. OSU has had 0 games on Big Monday on ESPN this year for basketball. Yes, was that a scheduling thing? Sure. But we're not playing, Arizona on Big Monday. We're not playing Texas Tech or Iowa State on Big Monday, whatever it may be. We're instead hopefully having our football games where we're not having a big shout out that we had, 231 or no 31 this year. We're really just hoping that we have a lot more to talk about as far as, hey, we're a football school. We're bringing in the football.
Yeah, well, to follow on that, think about it. When Steve Lutz got hired, GIA didn't get packed in his first game. I promise you that game against whatever FCS school we're playing, I don't know. Whatever FCS school we're playing is going to be 65,000 fans. Promise, because we're a football school.
Well, the first technically home game is against Oregon, so it's going to be packed.
Oh, was our first home game Oregon? Did we start at Tulsa or something?
We start at Tulsa.
At Tulsa, home Oregon, home McNeese State.
We're too nice to be going to Tulsa. We're too nice for that. We only come to Stillwater. No, I'm joking. I like Tulsa. That's fun. Okay. That's going to be fun. Okay, never mind then. But both those games will be packed no matter what happens against Oregon.
Well, but to your point, I think we'll sell out the 30,000 seat stadium in Tulsa.
Right.
Be enough anticipation where Tulsa will be orange for a weekend. I think that'll be one. It's a small enough stadium that you can easily pack it out if you're an away fan base that's big enough like ours. But two, I think there's just so much anticipation. If I put up a podcast title and it's Eric Morris in it, it's clicked on like 7 million more times than a Steve Lutz title or anything else. I mean, I can put up a softball title and it's clicked on a little bit more than some basketball stuff. It's wild.
No, look, I will object to your take, though. I don't think we're either a football or a basketball school.
You think we're a wrestling school?
No, I think we're a golf school.
Golf school. Ooh.
Yeah, we are. Woo!
We have the best golf program in the country, and it's not that close at the moment. It's not that close. Victor Hovland, Matthew Wolf, and a whole list of guys that are about to go to the PGA after this year.
Oh, yeah.
We brought back our entire team after winning a national championship. Our golf program is absurd. And I'm a huge golf guy, so I had to shout out the golf program while I had a chance.
Hey, Victor just needs to win the Masters, and then it's solid for OSU.
Don't tickle me. Don't do it. No,
we've got
realistically, if you're talking about the big sports, right? What would we consider the major sports if you can label your school? Football, basketball. What else at college would we consider major sport?
I mean, those are the revenue generate. Well, basketball and football are the revenue generation sports. So if we're talking about, I don't think anyone's sitting here going, you know what? UCLA is a baseball school. Like, I don't think we're talking about that, even though I don't think they're a basketball or a football school, right? Like, but we're not talking about them being it's kind of that.
Well, OU is a softball school. Let's be honest.
Fair.
Let's be realistic. They're winning everything.
Great point.
But if you have a staple, before you know it, we're going to be a hockey school, and it's going to be amazing. And we're going to get an NHL team in 5 years because of it. So it's going to be fun.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. But all jokes aside, I think if you are talking about the two major sports, definitely a football school, not basketball. I agree with you.
All right. Well, Reagan, if you could fix one thing immediately at Oklahoma State athletics, what would it be?
Like an entire sport or just like a functionality?
I'm just saying one thing. I want to make it broad so you can take it wherever you want to on that. I'm not trying to be too specific, but The one thing I would fix for sure is I would move Stillwater 30 minutes closer to Oklahoma City, because then all of a sudden we'd be Norman. I mean, honestly, like
that's
you're
such a good take. That is a phenomenal take.
If you could move everything Oklahoma State to Guthrie, we would be Norman. Like we would. I mean, Edmond is already so big. You've got most hotels that are marketing for the April 18th when every single sporting event's going on. Remember the 10 run, etc. They're marketing all those hotels as like, well, North Edmond Guthrie Hotel, and I'm like, that sucker is the second exit off of Guthrie that I drive by every single day. Like that is a North Guthrie. So if you just all of a sudden were like, hey, Stillwater was just North Edmond at Guthrie, we'd immediately be passing resolutions to have a huge state-of-the-art campus, whatever Norman's doing with their new stuff going next to
going in more debt for the taxpayers.
Yeah, well, the taxpayers, sure, yeah. I mean, it's not the university.
Yeah. Calvin just wants it in Guthrie, so he just saves 30 minutes of a drive every single day.
I daily commute to Stillwater. What up? But that'd be my hot take, though.
I like it.
Or my one fix. Yeah.
Trey?
So my probably fix, I'm not going to move our location or anything like that.
It's pretty dramatic.
I know, that's real dramatic there. I wish we could move our homecoming one weekend earlier. So typically it was always around, I know this sounds weird, but hear me out.
Things though, that's like the most, I don't know, it caught me off guard.
We went from literally my hot take of moving the entire campus and the university and the entire history of Stillwater starting in 1890 into yours. Maybe if we could switch the homecoming to one weekend earlier, like
a weekend or two earlier, because
dramatically different takes. I'll just tell you now.
Reagan should have had his take here in the between, so he at least could have leveled off a little bit.
It would have done this slowly.
Yeah. At least on mine, it makes sense because it used to kind of always be around like the 15th through the 20th, but now it's been pushed back, and so it's now getting colder, and so it just sucks whenever I'm doing the whole walking around, and of course we always have 11 o'clock games, so that doesn't help either. If we were, a little bit earlier, we could potentially have those late night games.
Now, hey, bouncing off of the dramatics of Cal over here, I'm going to say we have $1 trillion investor into the NIL. No, I'm kidding. Realistically here, like if I'm being super realistic, there's two things. Can I say two things?
Sure, go for it.
One, I want a new softball stadium. I'd like a softball stadium that's actually like comprehensive, because we're packing that thing like every week.
Oh, you don't like the deck that they just installed for us? That's all they're gonna get.
Man, they don't. I would love to see a softball stadium. The second thing is, I would like the media internals to change dramatically. I think the current state of our SID and the way that they're controlling internal media and only feeding things to specific people, which I will not name, but they choose a media and they basically make it their propaganda outlet. It's just true. And they don't let anyone else get media credentials. Only students, only people from two specific sites or major networks get media credentials at Oklahoma State. Everyone else gets denied unless you're talking about a small sport. Basketball and football specifically, they're really closed off to, and it has created a ton of issues for us over the last decade. And this was really big, a Mike Gundy thing. Eric Morris seems a little bit more open, but that has to change because the best programs in football have comprehensive media coverage. Oklahoma State doesn't, and they take off the major networks. I worked with Fox, and I worked with them at an Oklahoma State game. They hate going to Stillwater, despise it because they do not get treated well. And when they do go to Stillwater, one of the things that bothers them so much is the layout of Boone Pickens is so anti-media friendly. It's obnoxious. It is so hard to deal with. The media booth is great, but everything else, the on-field stuff is disastrous.
Just because the field's just crammed, basically.
Yes. Generally, my point is I want Oklahoma State to be more open with media and be okay with people who are critical with them being inside the program. It's okay for people to be critical. All coverage is good coverage in sports. It's just a fact. And look at Michigan. They're doing perfectly fine. And they've got a lot of stuff going on over there. Same thing with Penn State. Look what happened to them, and they're doing perfectly fine. So I think that's one of Oklahoma State's biggest holdbacks is no one talks about us because we don't let them, and it's a problem. So, like, for example, one of the biggest media people right now is Josh Pate. He has no Oklahoma State people. That's why he didn't talk about us in the portal until it was over, because we don't let anything get out. And I luckily was the one person outside of the major medias that was getting stuff out. I had that privilege. Not common. Extremely uncommon. So I think that's the big change I would like. And that's just a little bit of an annoyance thing in athletics. But I promise that if that changed, it would be huge for the program. So that's what I would change.
Yeah, I do think it's a little interesting that I got a credential for the Big 12 championship for football when Arizona State played, the Iowa State.
Right.
And I've not been OSU credentialed. So, I mean, there's more information on that. Of course, I have not yet applied, but also there's not a formal application process for it too. So it just is kind of, you got to know somebody, you got to hit up the right SID, all type of stuff. And I'd say it's similar probably at other universities, but I'm not sure, honestly.
It's not. So, it's not. And I know this firsthand because I have friends that left Oklahoma State media specifically because of how bad it is, and now they're working at 247 or wherever else. And they're doing phenomenal. And it's because if there's a specific person or specific people inside there that aren't even necessarily direct associates of Oklahoma State, and they do not like you, you will not get credentialed, and they will do everything in their power to prevent it. And it's a dangerous thing. But I think it's changing. And especially people like, no offense, but like what you guys do, which I think is really good stuff. It's obviously important. Podcasts are great. They will never, ever credential any podcasters or social media people. They consider it third rate and not real. So that's just their mindset. And you know what, to each their own, but that's what I would change. And I think it would help things like basketball, trust me, because those basketball high school athletes are chronically online 24/7. Anytime I post something about them getting an offer or whatever, they follow and they interact with content because they love social media. It's just the way it is. It's the modern era, and we got to make sure. I think Eric, by the way, I've commented on this. The new staff is obviously on this. Obviously. Good. So I think we'll be fine. But that's what I would change. That's all.
So what I hear is hit up Reagan for some media passes.
No, don't hit me up. I'm not the guy. I don't even live in Oklahoma right now. I'm not the guy.
The one thing I'd say that you brought up, Reagan, that I want to touch on before the trivia question here is the softball stadium. And that's because in 2021, Oklahoma State put out the whole like branding success campaign. I know we now have your code calls or whatever, but it still is up on the YouTube page of a 2021 video that was extremely well put together. That is basically an entire, hey, we're building a brand new softball. We're building a brand new practice facility. We're building like a health and wellness center. I mean, we're doing all of these different things here. It sometimes comes up on my stuff just through YouTube because I've watched it once or twice, and I'm still just kind of waiting on the next comment for it. It's not the first thing you see, so I'll tweet it out again later today when I find it again. But it's just odd that there's been no comment on that. That's a brand new softball stadium. That's brand new. All these different kinds of things. It's hey, we got the brand new baseball stadium done. Now look at all these other stuff we're working on. We're working on a brand new wrestling facility, for a wrestling auxiliary gym, etc. But there's been no update since 21, and all of a sudden I turn around, it's 5 years later. I mean, it just is an odd thing. So wanted to mention that as well. All right, well, I do have the trivia question here. I said I wasn't going to grill anyone too hard here, so I'm going to word it a little. So it's an easy question, but I'm going to ask it in a strange way.
I'm so bad at trivia, FYI. So is it going to be like who played as the quarterback for Justin Blackman? I'm going to say Mason Rudolph, and it's going to be over.
Yeah.
Well, Ray, if you don't mind me asking, were you born in the 90s or in the 2000s? Because Trey and I were both born in 93, so
I'm a little bit younger than you guys. I'll say that.
A little bit. All right, we'll say that. We'll leave it there. All right. The OSU Cowboys. Well, I think everyone's going to know the answer to this question pretty immediately. The OSU Cowboys defeated which SEC team 34-31 at the 2006 Independence Bowl? The OSU Cowboys defeated which SEC team 34-31?
Alabama.
Yep. Alabama. Yep. I should add more words in there. I'd add more words in there to make it not make it, hey, when did we beat Nick Saban? Right. Like, so I had to add a little more words in there. Well, Reagan, if you're not already, please make sure you're checking out Pokes Insight. Reagan here is the owner, and of course at OK State Mart on X. And go Pokes. Any other thing you want to add here?
No, not really. Thanks for having me on. This was a little bit more of like a laid back, just conversational podcast.
Well, Trey, thanks so much always here for joining.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. We'll love to have you on here again, hopefully soon, and hopefully for everyone who just saw my face frozen half the time, my internet cooperates a little better next time. But thanks so much again, guys, and we'll catch you again soon. Go Pokes.
Hey, Cowboy fans. Today's episode is brought to you by Oakley Burklow, your go-to independent insurance agent and proud OSU alum. Oakley helps with home, auto, life, and business insurance, working with multiple top-rated insurance companies to find you the right coverage at the right price. Licensed in Oklahoma and Arkansas. Call 918-280-9068 or email oakley.burklow@connectmyinsurance.com. Personal service, honest advice, and a fellow Poke helping you protect what matters.